Okay, my anxiety these past few weeks has really been, unfortunately, getting a bit the better of me, and I am trying to work through that. And a piece of advice my therapist gave me this past week has really helped give me a bit of a mind shift, and just to change the way I look at anxiety. And that piece of advice I got on sticky notes because I take notes when I take therapy. It helps. But how can I become friends with my anxiety? And, try to think of it almost to give it its own identity. So I actually was like, okay, I'm gonna name my anxiety because sometimes I name the things I'm struggling with. I named my bank account Denise. But my anxiety, no offense to Anita's, but I named her Anita because Anita anxiety is similar letters, and that's just how my, neurospicy brain works. So over the last 3 days, 4 days, I have been talking to my anxiety, Anita. And anytime I feel her starting to kind of creep in with those almost paralyzing thoughts, that kind of put me into that freeze or fawn mode, which is not any fun. I take a deep breath, I take a step, metaphorically, back and say, okay, Anita, what's going on? And I kind of like visualize her outside of me. And that really helps me distinguish what is me and what is not me, what is helpful and what is not helpful. And in doing that, like I'm trying to make besties with my anxiety over here just to get through it, to work through it. So we started talking more, and I am gaining a lot of insights. I already knew anxiety is there as a protection mechanism, and a lot of times when we're not finding anxiety useful, when it's hindering us instead of helping us progress forward, at some point in our history or our lives, or in some cases, even past lives, the anxiety we're experiencing is there because it kept us safe previously. I am somebody with, unfortunately, childhood trauma. I know a lot of people are, um, and it's not fun. And so, as a young child, I came up with so many coping mechanisms. One of the biggest ones for me was don't speak, don't talk. Your voice isn't valid, and talking and expressing and sharing your opinions is dangerous. And so, especially over this last year, that has been something I have been working very, very hard to get over. Not necessarily get over, but to work through, and sometimes that comes with acknowledging it. Like now I'm like, yo, Anita. But, a few months ago, it was even just, okay, I feel my body being anxious, recognize where those emotions are in my body. A lot of times I'm hunching up my shoulders. I feel tense in my stomach. I feel tension in my chest, and just breathing to release that, trying to ground myself because, that's one of the helpful coping mechanisms for me. And then say, okay, what is this anxiety telling me? Thank you for being here. Thank you for keeping me safe in the past, but this isn't helpful in this moment. Unfortunately, this is actually making it so I can't move forward and do the things I want to do because I'm a girl with big goals. Okay. And in practicing that more and more, in showing up with my anxiety in new ways, especially this past week, having kind of given it a name, it helps me move through and understand it in a different light. For me, some of my big goals that I really want to achieve over the next 12 months are to have a self-sustaining business so I don't have to go back to a 9 to 5 that literally drains my soul. Part of what I'm trying to build is selling my art, is selling products I make, like, the Book of Days planner that I love helps, bring in some mindfulness and some gratitude. Link for that's going to be in the description below. But I struggle to talk about these things, and the only way I'm going to get through that is to get more familiar. But when I was young, I was told things like, you can't make a career out of writing, and you can't be an artist full time. That might give you a little pocket money, but that's not sustainable at all. The whole mindset of a starving artist. And I don't believe that. Now, having a belief and feeling it, sometimes those are different things. But in acknowledging each of these fears that show up in the form of anxiety and stress and freeze. So, this looks like doom scrolling on my phone or playing a game and just kind of ignoring what I want to work on. But in acknowledging these things, every time I do that, they have less of a hold on me. Every time I think of my anxiety as separate from me, not me, but attached to me, it helps to separate. It helps to bring a little peace of mind, and it helps to move through it. And that's my goal. That's what I want to do. It's what I want to help others do. I have so many big goals, so many big dreams, and a big part of that is helping other people. And in order to do that, I've got to work on me, obviously, but I have to show up. I have to talk. I have to speak. It brings back, I was thinking about this the other day. My voice was very much suppressed when I was young because it wasn't safe to talk. And growing up in the province of Ontario here in Canada, a thing we did every year was public class speeches, and I hated it. I would stand up there and freeze and have full-blown panic attacks, though didn't realize they were panic attacks until later. And so the fact that these days what I actually want to do is public speaking to a degree, it's kind of mind-boggling. But I'm here for it. And, I'm going to be trying to show up in these videos a lot more just to talk about what my experiences are. Because for me, hearing other people tell their stories, hearing other people talk through their experiences and how they've made it through different things really, really helps me. And in doing that myself, in sharing my experiences, the things I'm using to work through the tools and tricks and strategies, I've had family members tell me that is helpful. I've had, my group of besties, we all got our group chat, but we all share those experiences, and from that we pull little nuggets that help us. And not everything is always going to stick. Not everything is going to resonate. And the thing I really want to stress here is take what resonates and leave what doesn't. And that goes, for all of my content. But at the end of the day, it's, trying to work with my anxiety. So one of my posties that I keep by my work desk is, how can I work with my anxiety? How can we be besties? How can we be best friends? And also that leads me to remembering that I'm really hoping that these show up, not reverse, because I don't actually edit these videos. But that being said, the talking is getting a lot smoother. Anyway, back to the topic, but remembering that it's not going to be perfect in the beginning. And that is okay. The only way it's going to improve, the only way I'm going to get better at working with my anxiety is practice. The only way I'm going to get better at showing up online or for my art or for the business I'm building this year is to practice, is to consistently show up in the same way, in the same mindset. My goal, I have a mission statement, and it's I want to try and filter the content I am creating through that mission statement to make sure that I'm actually doing things that are aligned, that are on point, that are helpful and reaching that audience. So, back to the main topic here. Let's make friends with the anxiety. Let's see how it's trying to help, because in some ways it is trying to help. Some of that anxiety is useful. Some of it needs to be put to rest, thanked, because it did serve a purpose. It was helpful at one point. But a lot of it these days, it gets more in the way than it helps. So I hope this helped. I hope that this resonates. And you know, if you're taking something from this video, I would really love to hear what that is. I'm trying to reach my audience too and to grow. So if you could subscribe, if this resonated, I would absolutely appreciate it. And if there's something you'd like me to talk about, also please let me know. Trying to make a lot more videos out here, so you know, we'll see what topics come up. This, you know, came to me this morning while I was sitting with my thoughts, sort of meditating, but not exactly. And it was like, you know, this is the thing we got to talk about today. So here I am talking about it. Who knows what we'll talk about tomorrow, but I'm grateful that you exist. Thank you for being here, and I hope you have an amazing day. Until next time.